can this AI, and when many of them call it as innovation also. So when you say AI innovation and DPDP compliance, can they coexist without a compromise? What is your
That's yeah, it's a very interesting question, and I think it's certainly there, and everyone is talking about it. I would say, privacy teams often see AI as some kind of insatiable data consumer, and that's violating purpose limitation by design. But AI teams are seeing DPDP as a brake on innovation, possibly. That may leave India's public sector behind global peers. But I think both are maybe little extreme views, but I think they can coexist. I think AI innovation and DPDP compliance can coexist. Um, I think certain aspects need to be looked at. For example, in purpose limitation, we always say that data collected for one purpose cannot be used for another. But AI training models routinely violate this. Citizen data collected for subsidiary delivery often gets repurposed to train for fraud detection models, for example. If you look at data minimization, you are collecting only what is necessary, but AI models, particularly the deep learning systems, historically perform better with more data, not less data. But data minimization exactly says the opposite. So there is, it may be a contradiction a bit. It may seem that way, but I'll say this. These are, not problems, these are how the systems, this is not that AI and privacy can coexist or not. I believe they can. DPDP Act does not prohibit AI processing of personal data, but it just requires a lawful basis, purpose limitation, and reasonable safeguards. So the question for government agencies and enterprises is whether they are willing to treat those requirements as design constraints from day one, rather than, say, compliance obligations to be retrofitted after deployment, right? So if you look at, for example, Ayushman Bharat's fraud detection teams, they use AI, they're already using AI models to flag anomalous claims. But these are trained on patient and provider data, which were collected for health benefit delivery, not for model training. GSTN's analytics, they're applying AI for GST return data to identify evasion patterns, etc., processing millions of data of millions of businesses and individuals. But that is not the purpose for which they were originally collected. Even your FASTag and traffic management systems use computer vision on vehicle data. Several state police forces, I know Telangana is using facial recognition systems drawing on Aadhaar linked databases. So the challenge for government organizations is to make privacy related features part of the procurement requirements and implementation standards. That, I think, is how they should approach it. For example, raw PII should never enter into an AI training environment. Before data even reaches that, direct identifiers like Aadhaar or names, mobile numbers, etc., must be stripped or replaced with tokens. Models must train on de-identified records, and basically that's the point I was trying to make there. This will not degrade model performance in most government AI use cases, but the privacy is maintained. So this differential privacy means that the model learns population level patterns without referring to individual records or without memorizing individual records. See, Apple already uses differential privacy in iOS keyboard analytics. Google applies it in Chrome usage statistics. It's already being done. So here, our Indian government agencies, I think the most immediate application perhaps will be in health or financial analytics, where the population level insights are valuable, but the individual level privacy risk is high. So they have to balance those. Now, generally federated learning, that it kind of inverts the AI training model. Instead of bringing data to the model goes to the data. So each ministry or state health department or district office can train the model locally on its own data. So only like the model gradients are shared centrally. The insights are shared centrally and aggregated. Raw data never leaves its originating system. So this kind of federated learning is something that our government architecture can begin to adopt. And ministries that cannot legally share citizen data with each other for other security or other requirements can still contribute to a shared AI model. still preserving that innovation without compromising on the thing. I mean, Google Health has done this in clinical settings, training diagnostic models without identifying individual patient data, etc. So now one complication comes when a citizen invokes the right to erasure under DPDP. So basically, you have to remove their personal data from the processing. Now, for a database record, this is straightforward, but for an AI model, it's not that. It's almost like you're doing some machine unlearning in a sense, and you're taking out that data. So that I think that is still being looked at, and it's something that will be talked about more in the coming days to come. I'll give one final example here. See, there is always bias in AI systems, which we keep hearing about. In the government setting, there was recently a case in the Netherlands with the welfare department where they had deployed some AI system, and this identified certain beneficiaries as liable or likely to commit fraud. So the government put all its faith in this AI model, and it cut off the benefits to these people. Now, some of them then filed cases in court because they thought they were law-abiding, upstanding citizens. They're not doing anything wrong. And so the Dutch court heard this, and the judge called the welfare department and says, please explain how this AI model that you deployed identified these citizens as likely to commit fraud, and thereby you stopped their benefits. And the welfare department said, we don't know, that the vendor has deployed the system. And so the judge got very upset, angry at them, and said that you are not even aware of how this algorithm is really coming up with this conclusion. And so then they called that vendor who also testified in court and tried to explain what the system is. The judge didn't buy all that, and he ruled that that welfare department has to withdraw this AI system from use. So they had to withdraw it because it was deemed that even the welfare department didn't fully understand how this AI was even identifying these people. So this is starting to get tested in court. There was a recent case in Australia also where a government department got into trouble and they had to withdraw their AI system. So as increasing use of AI is happening in government, this kind of bias testing has become a mandatory compliance thing, and what is also termed as algorithmic accountability has to be there in an AI system, and particularly for government, like the algorithm decided that is not an acceptable explanation. There has to be accountability in that algorithm. So in conclusion, I would say, yeah, the innovation and compliance can coexist, but you have to treat privacy as an AI design constraint, not as a post-deployment, then we'll take a look as to what it did.